Following Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show where he performed the now Grammy Award-winning song, Not Like Us, the internet has been abuzz with people asking what was the symbolism behind Kendrick's performance and why is BBL Drizzy so weird? BBL Drizzy! It's no secret that Drake has become a massive meme in recent years, being clowned on for everything from his style choices, mannerisms, questionable relationships,
honestly we text all the time now,
emotional lyrics, and especially his perceived effeminacy. Now, while it can be argued that Drake is just breaking down gender barriers, and that the blame for all these jokes has more to do with the inherent hypermasculinity of rap culture, I would argue it has more to do, if not entirely, with the simple fact that Drake is Canadian, attempting to claim authenticity in a genre specifically built off the Black American experience, which he obviously has no real connection to. In this video, I want to briefly break down the symbolism and significance of Kendrick Lamar's halftime show and explain why one of the most overlooked reasons for Drake's and many non-Black American rappers' perceived corniness has to do with foreign artists attempting to cosplay the Black American struggle through their rap personas, which inevitably comes off as weird, corny, and inauthentic. Now, when it comes to Kendrick Lamar, recently everyone's attention has obviously been on the beef between him and Drake and the success of his diss track Not Like Us. This beef's virality has led many to focus solely on the Drake references during his halftime performance, but anyone who knows Kendrick Lamar knows he is going to layer his artistry with symbolism and meaning as someone who has always stood up for what he believes in, but in an authentic, unapologetic way. This performance was no different and tastefully ties dissing Drake with critiquing American society into one artistic narrative reflected in Kendrick's opening statement.
The revolution about to be televised. You picked the right time, but the wrong guy.
While many may not have understood his performance or even liked it, that was sort of the point, using his moment not just to entertain, but also express a deeper message, making the phrase, "they not like us," even more relevant. The halftime show opens with Samuel Jackson dressed as Uncle Sam saying,
"Salutations! It's your Uncle Sam, and this is the Great American Game!"
With the field arranged with 4 different stages, a square, triangle, X, and O, the buttons on a PlayStation controller. Now, Uncle Sam is a personification of America itself, typically used in old American propaganda, and is also a symbol Kendrick has used in past songs like Wesley's Theory, employing it as a symbolic motif representing the American dream and capitalistic exploitation. This opening, along with the field literally being arranged as a PlayStation controller, shows how the music industry and American society at large are like a game for Black Americans, something that has to be carefully navigated, balancing authenticity and white appeasement with the irony of having a Black man playing America, showing that we are about to see how this game is played, but from the Black perspective. The fact Kendrick uses a video game motif to express a critique of America at a football game, something that is arguably the most American, helps reinforce his message even more. So Kendrick then begins his performance of Squabble Up on a black 1987 Buick GNX, a reference to his birth year, childhood, and most recent album with the same name. Toward the end of Squabble Up, Uncle Sam interrupts Kendrick stating,
"No! Too loud! Too reckless! Too ghetto! Mr. Lamar, do you really know how to play the game? Then tighten up!"
This is a direct call-out of white America and the paradoxical nature of how Black culture is simultaneously loved and consumed, but also demonized and hated when it's too loud or focuses too much on the Black struggle. Uncle Sam loudly telling Kendrick to tighten up shows how Black Americans are expected to step in line and not disrupt the game too much, otherwise they will offend and won't win or succeed. Including this Uncle Sam feedback goes a step further than just exposing Black culture through his performance, but also sideswipes the ones who critique it by recognizing their response in advance and calling it out before they can. Samuel Jackson is basically a real-time representation of how broader America reacts to Black culture, and his use in this performance becomes a way to create a dual reality, one from the Black American perspective and one from the white American perspective, allowing the audience to experience the paradoxical nature of Black life in America regardless of their race. After this call out, Kendrick begins to perform Humble, with his dancers lining up to represent the American flag. This has been seen to represent many different things, but I see it as a direct response to Uncle Sam's critique by switching to a more commercially successful song that happens to also be titled Humble, almost like he is ironically responding to himself, mirroring how America views outspoken Black voices. too loud, too entitled, and too cocky. The dancers aligning to represent the American flag can also be seen as attempting to appease critique by using superficial patriotism to deflect and call for unity without really addressing the issues in society. Similar to, I would say, Lady Gaga's performance for the attack in New Orleans, and how after horrible tragedies or injustices, we are expected to all come together, sing Kumbaya, and use feel-good narratives to cope without really doing anything to address the underlying issues that led to them in the first place. It's basically like toxic positivity, emotional propaganda that has good intentions, but doesn't go nearly far enough to respond to the problems in society, but does just enough to soothe people and make them feel that everything is alright. I see this false unity represented in how the flag is split, and how the dancers move in their own separate directions, representing how national unity is really just a facade used to silence criticism and quell anxieties. As Kendrick performs Euphoria, a diss track against Drake, and a song that calls out inauthentic performances of black culture through marketing and rap personas, a message appears on the stadium audience warning "wrong way," referencing how Kendrick is moving closer and closer to blatantly calling out the industry and towards performing the song Not Like Us, which shows how authenticity goes against the game, but also that Kendrick obviously doesn't care. As Kendrick finishes his performance of Man at the Garden, a song that dives into self-reflection, accomplishment, confidence, and self-redemption, Uncle Sam again interrupts him saying,
See you brought your homeboys with you. The old culture cheat code. Scorekeeper. Deduct one life.
This is a direct response to Kendrick's authentic, unapologetic style and how it specifically goes against the rules of the game. Meaning if you really want to succeed, strip yourself of depth and nuance, leaving behind a watered-down caricature that uses catchy, nearly meaningless lyricism in exchange for success and cultural acceptance. It's the idea that authenticity doesn't sell as well as artificial mediocrity, which treads lightly and doesn't disrupt the current system. Uncle Sam's response could also be seen as how a confident, self-aware black American has always been seen as threatening to the American establishment, being that someone who is educated, self-aware, and confident can no longer be controlled. As Kendrick moves to more slower, commercially successful songs like Luther and All the Stars featuring SZA, Uncle Sam exclaims,
That's what I'm talking about. That's what America wants. Nice and calm. You're almost there. Don't mess this.
Now, the fact the crowd gets so jubilant when these songs are started sort of further reinforces the point that Americans want bread and circus, not nuanced social commentary that makes them reevaluate and think. Obviously, Not Like Us is best known for how it dissed Drake, but again, that's not the only meaning that Kendrick wants us to have, with him saying,
40 acres and a mule, this is bigger than the music. Yeah, they tried to rig the game, but you can't fake influence.
40 Acres and a Mule is a reference to what slaves were promised after the Civil War as a form of reparations and to help set them up for agrarian self-sufficiency. As we all know, this promise was never kept, overturned after the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, and is often used as an example of the consistently broken promises made to black Americans and as a symbol of injustice. Kendrick deciding to make this proclamation right before performing They Not Like Us is to remind viewers that this isn't just a diss track, but a message that has to do with the commodification of the black American experience through the propping up of inauthentic artists in the industry, and also a statement on black culture and how no matter what, even if you physically are black, if you're someone who doesn't have the lived black American experience built off generations of oppression and slavery, then you will never truly get it and will never really be like them. Now, the main thing everyone has been talking about, of course, is this performance because of things like name dropping Drake, wearing a lowercase a chain, which many interpreted as a reference to the A minor lyric, and him bringing out Serena Williams, who previously dated Drake and who she also had beef with. But I want to focus more on the larger message of the entire performance and not just the beef, because again, by now you should also see there is far more meaning than what's on the surface. But by all means, let me know in the comments what you liked about it or what I may have missed. So after Kendrick finished Not Like Us, he ended the show with the song TV Off, with the words game over being projected onto the audience, meaning he had finished the game and that he had won despite going against the rules. A statement on how being authentic will win every time, no matter how the game is rigged. Right before, he finishes with the lyrics "turn his TV off," with some thinking he is simply saying Drake's career is over, that he's trolling Drake and how Drake probably is turning his TV off while watching, but also that it's possibly a bigger message to America in general, and how many people probably watching are turning the TV off in response to the performance because they just don't get it. Like I said earlier, Kendrick has always been known to speak out about the industry and the struggles within the black community, and I see Drake as almost the perfect symbol for everything Kendrick stands against and the issues not just within America or the black community, but even with capitalism itself and the commodification of authenticity in general. In this way, using the video game motif mentioned earlier, Drake and Kendrick can be seen as representative of how there are two sides to playing the game. When you play it right, you will be rewarded with mass success, but at the expense of your authenticity. When you are authentic and speak out about injustices, you are punished in silence, often hurting your chances of success. And I know some people might argue it's just music and entertainment, it's not that deep, Kendrick is just being petty, but I would point out that hip-hop itself is inherently political and directly born out of the oppression, poverty, and police brutality of the 80s, which themselves are direct results of the influences and legacy of slavery and white supremacy in America. In other words, hip-hop isn't just a black creation, but a black American creation, something that was invented to help foster a sense of cultural unity and authentically express the experience of being black in America. As hip-hop grew in prominence, record labels and those in power sought to commodify and commercialize it, watering it down, eroding its lyrical depth and storytelling, and removing its cultural influence and political messaging to create something less authentic, less demanding, less offensive, less black. This is the process of capitalistic commodification, taking something with inherent nuance, depth, and culture, but reducing it to a simplified caricature of itself in the name of profit, and in the case of rap, help make it more palatable to larger audiences. Whiter audiences. This is why many who are not black or who do not understand the history and significance of hip-hop may not have understood Kendrick's performance or even just lyrical rap in general, because they don't have the context or lived experience of black Americans. When they are exposed to the actual reality of racism, marginalization, or police brutality in rap, they often cringe, roll their eyes, and claim they don't get it or that they don't like it. Not because they think black Americans don't face these issues, but because they don't want to hear about it, because it forces them to look in the mirror and understand what that says about America and possibly even themselves. In this way, original rap can annoy those who are not black. Rap that exposes the harsh reality for black Americans can cause feelings of guilt because they subconsciously know that these issues persist and that they don't care. Or worse, they associate them with America itself and see black Americans speaking out as disrespecting their beloved country instead of seeing it as American injustices disrespecting the black American. They don't really see systemic black issues as a flaw that needs to be corrected, but as something synonymous with America itself, with a critique of racism being an ungrateful critique of America. This is again why Samuel Jackson was telling Kendrick to tighten up. Stop complaining and calling out the injustices in the industry or society. Keep your head down, do as you're told, be thankful, and you'll be rewarded. Drake can be seen as an inverted reflection of Kendrick. Kendrick was born into a low-income family in gang-ridden 1980s Compton, California, becoming successful through hard work, authenticity, and merit. Drake was born to an upper-middle-class family in Toronto, starting his career on teen shows like Degrassi, but then somehow transitioned to this rapper who at times tries to play hard and act like he's about that life. Drake is symbolic of the music industry machine, someone who doesn't have an authentic background to make authentic rap, but who becomes massively successful regardless because he plays the game just right. He is a manufactured caricature of the black American rapper in experience, watered down to something that resembles more of a pop artist than a real rapper, and who therefore is more commodifiable and profitable. Drake is seen as someone who shifts with the tides, switching up to fit the trends, never really speaking about deeper systemic issues or adding to the culture in the same way someone like Kendrick does. Now, I don't personally have anything against Canada, and I'm actually most likely moving there as America rapidly descends into fascism, so don't take this the wrong way if you are Canadian, but this is how I've always felt about not just Canadian rappers, but even European ones. Not saying good, enjoyable rap can't exist unless it's made by black Americans, but more about rappers that attempt to emulate and profit off the black American experience and struggle as if they themselves have lived it when they obviously haven't. There are many non-black American, even non-black artists who use rap to authentically express their own artistic message without trying to be something they're not. It's basically directly an issue of ethics and authenticity, not solely about sharing culture or appreciating the genre itself. I've always thought Drake was corny, and even Justin Bieber. I know he's obviously not a rapper, but I'll never forget when he got that cringe bad boy makeover like a decade ago, which was obviously a cheap ripoff of black American culture, even though he's a soft Canadian white boy who consistently made racist jokes.
Gonna be one less nigga. If I kill you, I'll be part of the KKK.
I know, I don't know why Justin Bieber's catching all these strays right now, but it is what it is.
White boy, seen that shit.
Canada just seems like a giant American suburb to me. A country that is in ways multitude times better and safer than America, but whose citizens often attempt to cosplay the Black American struggle without understanding its deeper cultural roots. And to some extent, again, I see the same thing happening in wealthy European nations as well, with European rappers who attempt to mimic Black American struggles and aesthetics instead of using it as inspiration to make something uniquely their own. Kendrick expresses this inauthentic sentiment in the chorus, "They not like us." Again, being Black doesn't mean you understand the Black American experience. But like Kendrick always points out in his critiques of the industry, authenticity disappears in the name of profit and palatability, meaning many who do garner massive success are simply not like those who are authentic and will never really understand it because of it. This is a trend you see around the world. Black American culture is embraced and consumed, but the authentic struggle it's built off is always erased and disregarded in the name of profit and white palatability. So that was my quick hot take on the halftime show and the bigger message in Kendrick's music. Let me know what you guys think, if you think I got anything wrong or missed anything, and I hope you all enjoyed this video and have a great day.